So hello everybody. It seems that the first episode was quite popular. So here we go with another of my mid-morning musings. So today's episode is entitled The Albert Hall Incident. Sounds like some sort of murder mystery, doesn't it? Well, it isn't a murder mystery, thankfully. Now that would be a story to tell, wouldn't it? Now I've been very, very lucky through my dancing career to travel all over the world, dancing in amazing venues and arenas. I've toured Japan, danced in Canada, North America, Australia, all over Europe, China, other parts of Asia, and even Nigeria. But some of the best venues to dance in, and two of the best venues to dance in, are here in England. One of which is the Winter Gardens in Blackpool, which I've danced at many, many times. And I think the venue that trumps that just a little bit, perhaps because of the occasion, is the Royal Albert Hall in London. There's no greater feeling, actually. It's an amazing feeling of walking up the steps to the auditorium and seeing everyone looking down on you as you dance, and it's a tremendous atmosphere. The Royal Albert Hall is the home of the international championships. There's a couple of days of qualification at the Brentwood International Centre, which is in Essex, not such a glamorous venue. And then if you're lucky enough, you qualify for the Royal Albert Hall on the Thursday. So the qualifications on Tuesday and Wednesday, and then you've got the Royal Albert Hall final rounds, let's say, on the Thursday. Now this particular story takes place in 1998, and it was the first time that I managed to qualify for the Royal Albert Hall, which was a great achievement back then as a youth dancer. Now I was very excited to be dancing there, as I say, the first time that I'd managed to qualify, and I got there really early on the day and went in to the Albert Hall and went downstairs, because the changing rooms are downstairs. As I said, you walk up the steps to the dance floor, which is it's a great feeling, walking up those steps. Now the changing rooms allocated to the competitors had a little sign on, paper sign, that said competitors only. And I thought, in my youthful wisdom, naive wisdom, that it'd be a great idea if all of the English dancers that had qualified that night could be in the changing room together to get a sense of camaraderie, and so we could all be there together to take on the rest of the world at one of these great, fabulous competitions. So I decided to get a pen out, and on that bit of paper that said competitors only, above the competitors only, I wrote English. Naively, I just thought it'd be a great idea to make sure that everyone knew where to go, all of us English dancers. The reasoning behind this is, when I travelled around a lot, all of the teams, the dance teams from other countries, all seemed to be together. They seemed to be a collective that were there working together to beat the rest of the world. So the Danish team, the German team, the Italian team, the Russian team, and that sort of thing. And I wanted to get that sense of camaraderie for us dancing against the rest of the world. So I thought it was a nice idea just to get us all together. Additionally, I decided to hang my dance shirt on the outside of the changing room. Now, my mum made my dance shirts back in those days, and the ballroom shirt that goes under a tail, so it's a white front, white cuffs, the bits that are exposed. But the bits you can't see, the bits under a jacket, could be of any material really, doesn't matter what it is, any pattern. So my mum made me a shirt covered in Union flags, lots of little Union flags. So a very patriotic shirt. So I hung that on the outside of the room so that everyone knew that it wasn't only English, it was British, so they all knew where to go. And as people were arriving, I decided to man the door and ensured that we had the English dancers there. And I guided the English dancer, come down here, we're in this room. So I thought it'd be great. And there were only 2 couples that represented England that day that weren't in that changing room, and it was a magical atmosphere. It was brilliant. It's something I'll remember forever. It was a great atmosphere, and we had a great night dancing. At the time, I thought it was a great idea, but I suppose that could be the folly of youth, and looking back, it perhaps wasn't the best of things to do. I'm sure that if I'd been going to a competition in another country and tried to go into a changing room and someone there had been on the door and said, no, you can't come in here, it's only for English, or sorry, whatever country I was in, dances, I might have been a little bit put out. So yeah, looking back, perhaps it wasn't the best of things to do. But at the time, we had a great time, and my friends and I, we all seemed to love the atmosphere that we'd created. A little bit later on in the evening, when we, during the rounds, I was sat outside with a friend of mine, and we were just chatting. And a particular lady came up to me, spoke perfect English. She wasn't English though, and did accuse me of some unpleasant things. But honestly, I hadn't thought about it from the perspective of someone who wasn't English, and I didn't see how that could be perhaps a little bit hurtful. But honestly, there was no malice meant in it at all. It was just honestly to get everyone together. So she said that I was, all of these bad things, and didn't think I was very nice and whatever. I mean, ironically, she then subsequently, with her partner, danced for England. So had she danced for England that night, had she changed her allegiance that night, she could have joined us. Now that I'm much older, wiser and more mature, it's not something I would ever do again, and I realise that dancing is something that brings the world together, actually, in our industry, anyway, our dance industry, and it's not something you'd want to segregate, separate people. I run my own comp now as well, and it's I would never dream of doing that at that competition, saying English only competitors, German only competitors, Italian only competitors, etc. We'd all be in together, all mucking in together, having fun. But the story doesn't end there. There's a dance publication called the Dance News that comes out every couple of weeks or so. And in those days, there was a senior professional that used to write a column about various things that were going on in the dance world. And in one such issue, this professional wrote an article about me, actually, not me specifically, because I wasn't named, but about the Albert Hall incident and the fact that someone had segregated a changing room and was telling other dancers that they couldn't change in there unless they were English. Now, at the time, I thought that was quite funny, and I felt a little bit famous, and a lot of my dancing friends thought it was quite amusing that someone was writing about it in the paper, but that's just the folly of youth, as I said before. But I can see how it could be misconstrued and how it could put people off, and they were probably quite right in their writings in the paper, but I think perhaps they went a little bit overboard, suggesting that it would stop people from wanting to come and dance in England. I think that was never going to be the case. One little incident in one little changing room where some people were turned away because they couldn't couldn't change in that room for their dancing competition, I don't think is going to stop people from ever wanting to come and compete in this country. But yeah, for a little while I was relatively famous. Needless to say, I won't be hanging Union Jack shirts outside of doors anytime soon. And as a promoter myself, if I see anyone doing that sort of thing, I would nip it in the bud immediately. That's the good thing about experience. You can use it to help advise others. But it was still a great time. We had a great night. I think I did quite well as well that night as well. Yeah. Anyway, I think that's probably enough musings for this episode. The Albert Hall incident. There we go. I'll catch you in the next one.